This is Al Otero here from the Global Trade Chamber with Maria Rene Davila with the 100 Successful Women in
Welcome.
Business and the Global Trade Chamber. We're doing our weekly webinar and success stories, and we have had the opportunity to meet our next guest. Oliver is going to enlightening us on one of the most important things in life, which is planning for your future. We
Correct.
met him in Tampa, and we've been amazing friends since. It's very few people that are as dynamic and as positive as Mr. Oliver. They call him the OG of the OGs.
Yes, my last name is Gray, Oliver Gray, OG.
And he came from up north, Philadelphia,
Philadelphia.
Pennsylvania,
That's right.
and he's in Florida for some time. But we want to talk about Maria, things that we talked about. How do we plan for the future?
Absolutely. We need to keep in mind that one of the problems is that people live day by day, but they don't really plan their future. You think that you're going to be young forever and you don't plan your future. And then suddenly you are 70 years old, 75 years old, and you have nothing. You haven't saved anything. So Oliver is going to teach us today how we can plan out your future, why to planning our future is very important. Regardless the age you have, this webinar is going to be very useful for you.
And
There
the
you
good thing
go.
about Mr. Oliver is he speaks from experience. He's not speaking from the book like many people do. They buy a book and then they try to tell other people how to do it. But he's lived both the positive and the side and the negative side of his business. So
Correct.
welcome, Mr. Oliver. It's all yours.
Well, once again, I want to say thank you for inviting me to talk. And the most important thing for me is all about education. I mean, it's not about sales. It's not about how much money I can put into the bank. It's all about educating people. Because I truly believe and know once people are educated about something, then you empower them to make the right decision. Now, once again, I can't force anybody to do anything. Once again, my job is just to educate and give the knowledge, and then it's up to people to take action when they feel the time is right for them. But we all know that tomorrow's not guaranteed, especially now with coronavirus being so prevalent and just disrupting the whole country. It's more important to really think about putting things in place now more than ever, more than ever. So I'm gonna throw it back to you.
Yeah, what type of things people should be think about, like planning your future in terms of what? Why they should be aware of?
That's a good question. And you know what, Maria, I always like to start off with any meeting, asking people what concerns you. I mean, what financial concerns do you have? It could range from retirement, Social Security, college funding for their grandkids, for them, buying a home, paying a mortgage. So once again, it always comes down to what concerns do people have, and then once they tell you what the concerns are, then you go from there. So it can range from a whole bunch of financial topics, but what concerns you at this point in your life?
So what is the best advice for people to think about the retirement?
Good question. Now, I like that question because I'm 56, and I guess you could say in the 80s, you could graduate from college. You could probably work for a good company, and they probably offered you a pension where if you stay with that company for 20, 25 years and you retired when you were 60, 65, you probably could bank on getting a guaranteed check for the rest of your life. But we all know that that situation has been turned upside down. I could say maybe 5% of Fortune 500 companies don't offer a pension anymore. They are putting the responsibility on the employee now because it's costing them too much. So I would say that's probably the most serious consideration that people should be like concerned about. How will I get a guaranteed check forever when I retire?
Yep.
Because
Let's go
if
back
you
to the 80s.
Yeah, let's go back to the 80s.
well, there's ways to get around that, because if you don't have a guaranteed check where you know a check is coming every month to pay the electric, utilities, groceries, the mortgage, you are behind the 8 ball. So that should be your number one concern. How can I have a guaranteed income for the rest of my retirement years?
And what are some of the vehicles that you would look at to help people accomplish that?
Well, there's several. Once again, there's different products out there where you can come and sit with me, and I will educate you about, what to do with your money to achieve a guaranteed income. So once again, it comes down to your objectives. When are you going to retire? Do you want to leave something to your family? So once again, it all starts with that conversation in retirement. What are some of your concerns? Do you want to stay in Florida? Do you want to move back north? Do you want to keep the same home? Do you want to downsize? So those are some of the questions or the conversations that we have to determine what's the right fit. Because what's good for one person may not be good for the other person, and it comes down to what they're concerned about.
So based on the clients that you had and you currently have, what is the average age that they want to retire, or they
Maria?
are planning?
Great question. It's all about stories. So last year around this time, a good friend of mine, a childhood friend of mine who I grew up with in Philadelphia, she moved to Florida like back in the late 70s, and she eventually met her husband. So when she met her husband, he was a police officer for the city of Orlando. And then shortly thereafter, he was employed by Orange County Sheriff's Department. So I invited him to a seminar, retirement seminar, with one of the companies that I represent. I said, hey, Michael, why don't you come to our office in Orlando, and we want to educate you on the Florida retirement system. Because any county, what's your county down there? Broward County? Broward?
Yes, we're in Broward.
Broward County. So Broward County Sheriff's Department. That your retirement is handled by the state of Florida. Same as Orange County, same as Hillsborough County here in Tampa. It's the same retirement system. So he said, Oliver, you know what? I'm looking to retire in about 3 years. This was in 2017. I'll come. I said, Mike, we're not going to try to sell you. We want to educate you on all of your retirement options that you have. First thing he said, Maria, now I'm pretty sure I'm on top of it. I've been on it since day one. I said, okay, Mike, just come. So he came, and after the meeting, he was like, wow, I thought I knew everything, but you guys really educated me on some things that I need to consider. So we had subsequent meetings, and we told him, I said, Mike, you're doing good so far. If you want to consult with other financial people, go ahead and do it. We're not trying to say, hey, stick with us. We want you to look at all your options. Long story short, his number one concern was, you know what? I want to make sure that something happens to me, my wife is taken care of, my grandkids are taken care of, my great-grandkids are taken care of. So after about 2 years of having meetings, me and my partner, because he's like the guru of the Florida retirement system. He's been doing it for 30 years in Florida. We worked together as a team. Last June, he rolled over about $1.7 million of his retirement. Wow. He gave it all to us, $1.7 million. So what he did was, in 2008, when the stock market crashed, you have an option with the Florida retirement system. You can stick with their option, or you can take all of your money and put it on the investment side or put it into the market. So he was a smart guy. He said, I'm going to put it into the market. So he got, 2008, last year was 2019. He got 11 years of the market growth. And when he said, I want to stick with you guys, we was on his computer, Florida Retirement System, official website, $1.7 million. And there was not one life insurance product with what what we set him up with. So he'll have a guaranteed lifetime income from now forever. And so as long as he lives, he will get a guaranteed check. When he passes away, it'll go to his wife. It'll go to his kids. And
That's planning.
And we grew up together. That's correct. That's correct.
That's planning. One of the things that I talk to people about the retirement plans, like a 401k, most of the time they have no idea where the money is, or
Correct.
who's managing it, because it's a company retirement plan.
Correct.
And I know people that actually have lost money because they didn't know where the company had put their investments in mutual funds. They didn't know who was managing it. So that is so important that somebody looks at your retirement plans with the company, because the company, the last thing they're doing is caring about your future.
Correct.
So who knows who's managing your money, if it's in the right vehicles. So that advice is so important. They don't know who to trust. So that's
Correct.
one of the services that they should talk to you, because it's a horrible time for these people that are getting close to retirement. They don't even know where the money is.
All right, so Alan Marie, so I'm always like an open book. So I've only been doing this on my own 5 years, right? So my employment history dating back to the 80s, I worked for AMC movie theaters. I was a manager in the 80s. I had a 401k. I worked for Staples Office Supplies. I had a 401k in stocks. I worked for Verizon Wireless, which was my longest tenure of employment, for 14 years. And we'll start with Verizon Wireless. Up until 2008, I had about $235,000 in my 401k. This in 2008. In 1 year, when the market crashed, I lost about $70,000. Nothing you could do, but I kept it in and it came back up. I worked for the Buccaneers. From 2010 up until 24, I got 4 years of growth. So I've had a 401k all my working career. I've had stocks. All of those are good vehicles, but you're right. You get an annual enrollment, sign up for your 401k. They give you all these options. Nobody comes in and educates you about them. I was just pretty good about money, fundamentally, but I didn't know the ins and outs. So I made some pretty smart decisions. But once again, I had nobody to guide me and say, hey, look, you have a 401k, which is great. A 401k is just one piece of the pie. You need different eggs in one basket to offset the ups and downs of the market. And that's where I can educate people about.
And Oliver, it's also that sometimes people have the assumption that they don't have enough income to plan in investing in other things or thinking about their retirement. So it's not necessarily true, right? You can, with the money you have, it's just about how you manage your money, and then I'm sure that you can provide different packages available for different type of income.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so this is the greatest piece of advice I'm gonna give you and Al and everybody watching. This is the greatest. So if you don't heed this advice, shame on you. Okay. So I used to always wonder, how do people like sustain wealth? You read about it in a magazine, and I'm gonna be honest, I'm gonna give you a number. Okay, what you see on TV when it comes to celebrities, athletes, the stuff that you prominently see in the media as far as wealth, they only comprise 3% of wealth in the United States. So you see an athlete, Michael Jordan, whoever, anybody in the movie theater, whatever, Hollywood, they only comprise of 3% of wealth. So you got all these other wealthy people who you never see on television. You never go to the movies and watch. Those are the majority of wealthy people. And I used to say, wow, okay, so you got people who deal in garbage, who make billions of dollars slinging garbage. Truck driver, they own trucks. So you have all these different industries in America that are producing millionaires and billionaires, but you don't read about them on television. You don't hear them on the radio. So just get that thought in your mind. 3% of entertainment and sports. They're only 3% of wealth. So there's a lot more wealthy people who you never see, who you never know about. And the number one common denominating factor is delayed gratification, Maria. So when people tell me, oh man, Oliver, I can't afford X, Y, Z, I'm like, yeah, you can. So let's sit down and go through your budget. How many times do you see homeless people with a cell phone? Okay. How many times does Apple come out with the iPhone? It used to be once a year. Now it's like 6-7 months. So once again, corporate America has had a grip on the American people since the beginning. It's all about controlling delayed gratification. And I was a victim of it myself. So once you can control delayed gratification and put off pleasure now to later on, you'll be on your way to wealth. And it starts with me sitting down and doing a financial analysis, telling me how much you're spending every month on what, and I can just about guarantee we can find some money to put somewhere that you can use 20 years down the line. And I was
Do you
a victim.
also help, Oliver, do you also help people on how to reduce the debt?
Well, once again, the most important thing you have to conquer is your mindset, Maria, because I can pinpoint stuff on paper. Okay, we can take this from there, this from that, but people still want to enjoy themselves now and not plan for the future because they always think they'll have time to get to it. They're always pulled from the media to go out and buy this, the latest that. On Christmas or Black Friday, people park in front of Best Buy to get a big screen TV, right? Okay, so that's in November, December, right? Then you got January, February, the Super Bowl. Go buy a brand new TV. Well, darn it, you was just at Best Buy.
All the time, especially all the time.
Constantly.
Come on.
You're right.
I'm going to give you some more education. The car industry, you see more car commercials on television than any other industry.
Yes.
Stop and think about that. Stop and think about it. You see them, every Chrysler, GM, Chevy, you see them, Mercedes-Benz. They know that Americans delay gratification, they're not good at it. So they market to them consistently because they know they're going to spend money.
Yes.
So it starts with the change of mindset.
So the thing that we need to advise our small business owners with, they're so busy running a small business, they don't have time to sit down and do a budget and find money to save for the future. And when they get too old to work in their company, they have nothing. So they need to start thinking now ways to start putting money away with many of the vehicles that you have available. So that's the biggest people right now that I talk to that are doing zero for the future. And I think that's so needed right now.
It is so needed. And
yes,
we're in this country, we're in a situation now, especially with coronavirus. You know, you have all these small businesses going out of business. Everybody has to apply for loans. But if you would have put a plan in place to say, hey, you know what, my business is thriving, I'm going to put X, Y, Z amount away for a rainy day. Most people never thought coronavirus, we never thought this would happen.
no,
But the smart,
nobody did.
the smart people are like, you know what, I don't know what's going to happen, but just in case, let me put like a little bit to the side. So when they got to this point, they wouldn't be in the situation they are now.
You're right. And actually this morning I was listening to the news and one of the experts like you in finance and retirement, they were saying that, you know, people never thought that this virus was going to stop the world.
Right.
And a lot of people didn't realize until now that they didn't save money. So they didn't have a backup plan. They didn't have money in their pockets for things like that. You know, like right now, people is suffering about not having a job. They don't have income because we never thought about having the world stop because of virus. And now they are thinking more about how to save money in the future because
That's
it's
correct.
opened mind a lot of people. And Now we know that we have to think about the future. We need to think about saving money for any contingency plan.
Right.
People
But-
say probably you should have at least 3 to 6 months of reserve in the bank for anything that happens. So the people that did think like that before were ready, because 3 months to 6 months is what we're going through now. But how many people actually practice that? Very few.
All right, so Al, you just brought up something that's like really, really important. So you said 3 to 6 months. That's the old way. So
Yes.
right now, okay, things shut down in March. April, May, June's over. So we're already at the 3 month mark. Okay? So we're getting spikes in coronavirus cases every day. So June's over. You got July, August, September. That's going to be 6 months. So
That's
the
right.
new norm
That's right.
now has got to be 1 year.
Yeah, I think
Gotta
you're
be
absolutely right.
Got
Yeah,
it. 3
it's
months is
totally
over
right.
with. It's over
Yeah.
with. It's over with.
You're
It's
right.
over. So you got
100% correct.
right. Businesses have opened up. Now they got to shut back down because some employees are getting sick. So
Oh, it's
it got to
crazy.
be 1 year savings at least.
Yeah.
At least.
Yeah. Imagine
But-
saving for a year. I think the best way to do it is, like you said, Oliver, is about planning, but not just for your retirement, but also diversification. I think diversifying your investment is going to help you to have a backup plan. You know, in
Correct.
crisis like now that we're living, we don't know when things are going to be better.
Correct.
Or we're going to go to the normal, which another thing that I was listening this morning, we don't know what is going to be the new normal. So we just don't know. But what we do know is that we should invest in other things, not just trust on our, paycheck, but have also our income diversified in tools like you mentioned in financial.
That's
it's called
correct.
Financial planning, right?
Investments.
That's
Yep.
correct. Investments, life. There's so many things. But once again, Marie, you hit the nail on the head. It's all about diversification. But let me ask you this. Let me pose a question to you. Over the last 3 months, I still see car commercials. I still see cell phone commercials.
That's right.
I haven't seen any of those industries stop. So what they're doing is you can buy a car and don't pay for it or no interest for like 1 year.
Yeah, it's
You're
amazing.
still going to have to pay.
Yeah, 100%. So they're not worried about you. They just want to get you later, but you're still going to pay. So it's a mess. You have to plan. That's the key to this whole thing. You have to plan and diversify. That's
And
the
this
two
has
things I came up with.
Right. And this has been ingrained in our society since the beginning of time. You can go back to the 30s, 40s, 50s. These companies have marketing people who research and they know the psyche and the behavior of the American people. So the rich people who own these companies or the stockholders, they will put together the perfect marketing plan and they will make people spend, and they will take the profits and their kids will be good. They'll be rich. They will have all the homes. They're not hurting right now. So
No.
people have to understand that it's a system that's been around a long time.
That's good. I think it's great lessons today.
Absolutely, Oliver. It was such a nice conversation today.
Mhm.
We learned some tips from you.
Mhm.
Remember, for everybody that is watching this presentation today, contact Oliver for other questions, individual questions, because I know that is case by case. He cannot
Right.
just give you a general answer. He has
Correct.
to analyze your situation. But the good thing about this is that you can do it. Regardless your income, you can do it. You can save
Yes.
money, you can plan your future, and Oliver is going to help you to achieve your goal. So
You're exactly
remember,
right. Exactly right.
along with this presentation, you're going to see the contact information for Oliver, a telephone number, email, and even your cell phone. You can provide also the cell phone.
Yeah, I would prefer. I'm an old school guy. Cell phone, email, but cell phone. I like to talk to people. And once again, it starts with the conversation. It's not about sales. It's about what concerns you financially going forward.
Absolutely. So you can call Oliver, and if you want to meet in person, Oliver, I know that right now things are going to get, to the normal little by little. Remember that September 19, we're having our annual 100 Successful Women in Business convention. It's going to be in Miami, Florida, and Oliver is going to be there. He's going to be there as
I'm
an
waiting.
exhibitor. And he's
Yes.
going to be there talking to you, answering any future question that you may have.
You got
It's
it.
going to be fantastic. So
So
we're
does
so
everybody
thrilled
have my
to.
number? Everybody has my cell phone number?
Go ahead, give it to us.
407 506 7206. One more time, 407 506 7206.
And we will put it on the final video so
Okay.
people can see it when they go to YouTube.
Right.
So they'll always have access to you. If not, they can call us and get your number. So
There you
you're
go.
part of our family, so you're always
No
going to be
doubt,
there
no
with
doubt.
us.
And you can include my email. You have my email, right? Include
Yeah,
my
we
email.
have that.
Okay,
Yes,
no
we're
problem.
going to include all your contact information.
Yes.
Perfect.
Thank you so much, Oliver, for taking the time to join us today. We'll see you next time. And remember, September 19th.
And you got to invite me back, all right?
Oh, we will.
All right,
Thank you,
appreciate
Mr.
you.
Oliver.
No doubt.
Have
No
a great
doubt.
day.
Talk to you.
Bye-bye.